remember it was school marathon day and we had to run, like there was no escaping it. And I remember my biggest fear was just going through the graveyard that was on the way that none of the kids wanted to go through. Anyways, this was up in the mountains, this lonely road. And somewhere halfway through the marathon, I just lost all my friends. There was just no one around me. And then I see the graveyard on the side of my eye. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't want to look at this. I thought I'll close my eyes because closing my eyes is the best way because I can't see the danger. There won't be any danger. And I just, was trying to go past. And then for some bizarre reason, crazy goat who was hiding in the middle of the graveyard decided to chase me. And I was pretty scared. Like, instead of a ghost, I had a goat chasing after me. And I kept running. I ran so fast. And I remember, I don't even remember how long was I running for, but as I entered the school campus, I could see the school captain cheering me on. It's like, "You're coming third." I was so happy. But I never ran a marathon again. I never ran a race again. So sometimes I step back and wonder, I was like, wow, what I felt at that moment, was it really determination? Or was it just me running from some fear, some sort of a survival instinct? It really makes me question today as I chase goals in my life, or sometimes there are goals chasing me because I haven't done what I need to do. As I do that, I often wonder, is that really determination, or is just some sort of reaction to some sort of pressure? And then the obvious next question is, what does real determination look like? I'm sure you all remember being little and having ambitions, goals, and then you remember investing in it. I remember investing in it. I remember being 7 years old and buying my first pair of binoculars because I really loved the space and I wanted to do something in that area. But I just don't remember when, and maybe you can relate to it, because I just don't remember when you stop pursuing these dreams. Because somehow the priority just becomes getting through day-to-day life. The dreams just fizzle away. The famous speech, MLK's famous speech, "I have a dream." Yeah, we have a dream. But what happens to our dream? Where is the determination to follow through the dreams? And that's my topic tonight. It's just really how to rekindle our determination. So just from life experiences and from actually studying the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, over the years, I've developed this teeny little model, I'd like to call it, the spark model for rekindling your determination. So the first part of the spark model is S, or self-knowledge, right? So the first thing is you need to know who you are to be motivated. You may question why. It's like determination just means you know what you want and you just go for it. But it isn't so much just like, I'm going to just go for it. It actually has to be a reason you would go for it. We're not machines. We're not AI. We can't just go on and on. We need motivation. And our motivation to stick it out comes from knowing who we are. And I'll tell you an old story from the Ramayana of this famous monkey warrior and transcendentalist, Hanuman. And he had this very difficult task. He had to cross an ocean, and it was 800 miles, and he had to make a jump across 800 miles. And the question was, how is he going to go there without any ships or boats or whatever? And then he had to also come back with critical information. So intel, he had to bring it back. What's the point of going if you can't come back? And he was very depressed and didn't think he could do it until a friend came up to him, a well-wisher, and he reminded him of his relationship, so Hanuman's relationship with Lord Ram. When Hanuman actually remembered that, I am not just anybody, I'm related to Lord Ram, and this is the nature of my relationship, and when that feeling of belonging, that sense of belonging triggered in his heart, that's when he could find the inner strength, the determination to take on this monumental task, which in time would make him really, like this task and him both were eternal in human history. Even today, millions of years later, people talk about it. So there is some power in knowing who you belong to. There is some power in knowing Who's going to be there cheering for you? We often confuse and settle for, confusion is one thing, but we often confuse and settle for enthusiasm as determination. But actually, determination is not just enthusiasm. Enthusiasm comes like a burst and then goes away. The nectar of instruction, Updeshamrita, it actually explains determinations, like got two different things with it. Utsaha, Nischaya, Dharya. Utsaha means enthusiasm. I'm enthusiastic. I want to do something. And enthusiasm, when backed up with intelligence, endeavor when backed up with intelligence, is real enthusiasm. So that's Utsaha. Nischaya, you make a determination. You take a decision. I'm going to do this. But then you need a third factor, a very important factor, that is patience, Dharya. Without patience, sooner or later, whatever you're doing is going to stand the test of time and you'll just give up. Like I garden, right? And sometimes days go by, weeks go by before you see a new leaf come, and you feel like, did I make a mistake? Did I not plant it right? So yeah, dealing with nature, you learn that a lot. So really, we need patience to to be able to actually see whether we're really determined or not, because enthusiasm and determination are two different things. So number one, I said self-knowledge is the key to rekindling our determination, because when you know who you are, then you know what you want. And when your determination and goals are self-aligned, then you actually have the drive to go through. Number two is purification. What happens often in our life is we're so like clouded about our needs and wants and everything. Our mind's very clouded. When the mind's clouded, a clouded mind gives rise to ugra karma, a lot of hard work. Look at this today. Even on a Sunday, on a Saturday, you can see like there's so much traffic jam. Everyone's going left, right, both sides of the lanes are blocked. So people are working really, really hard. But do we really need to have an entire civilization like this? People were living on this planet hundreds of years ago, and it wasn't congested like this. So when our minds, the more clouded our minds, the more disturbed our mind, the more chaotic our work. So we need purification of the mind, and definitely the purification of intelligence. Intelligence is kind of like the next door neighbor of the soul. So when the intelligence is impure or dirty, you can't see what you truly want. You're just confusing what's in the mind as your needs, and it takes away a lot of our energy. So purification of intelligence. With a purified intelligence, you can see Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. You can see that the eternal position of the living entity is just to serve Krishna. It's very simple. So we live a simple life of sustenance rather than a life to prove that I am someone and the world needs to recognize who I am. That kind of motivation actually really drains our life energy. What's the point if you prove something to anybody? What's the point if you don't? If you have no knowledge of where you're headed or what you're here for, all this proving doesn't, really result in anything. And now we're up to A. A for acceptance of failures. This is so hard. You work hard, you're determined, you do things, and then just whole thing just falls apart. And that can be really disheartening. So acceptance of failure is a very big, big part. Actually, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, and I'll actually quote, one should not be agitated or frustrated in some attempt. There may be failure in some attempt, but one should not feel sorry for that. They should make progress with patience and determination. Every little step counts. Every little step matters. You see, Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, we see like he's a great hero, great warrior, so famous, and people dream about being heroes. But as we dream about being heroes, do we actually dream about taking on the challenges, the failures, the struggles these heroes went through? No, we just want to be the hero. We just want to be Superman or Superwoman or whatever. But really, what about the struggles they went through? Arjuna went through so much struggle. He practically spent more than half of his life just in forest as a mendicant, although he was so powerful that he had the ability to reverse everything. So it's a thought for ourselves. Like, really look at your sincerity. I look at Mother Teresa's life. I mean, now she's famous, but when she started out, the Archbishop at that time rejected her proposal several times, but she continued to try. So there is this thing about accepting failures as a very important part of making progress. A really success or successful determination only has meaning after having seen some failures. So then the next one is resilience through suffering. It's very closely related to acceptance of failures, but still, failure might be one-off, but there might be suffering throughout. Um, Try and understand the world is a place where there's danger at every step. Padam padam hi vipadam. That's what the Bhagavad Gita says. That's what different texts will say that. So if there's danger at every step, here's the thing: we get caught up in trying to protect ourselves from the danger. I know I do that. Like, oh, I perceive danger. Let me kind of figure out some strategy. Oh, there might be something in the job market. I need to do something about that. Oh, there might be some danger from some friend or relative or this or that. So if we keep responding to suffering, if we keep responding to suffering all the time, what happens is it distracts us from our goal, because our whole life just goes trying to adjust our lifestyle, our living, our actions to try and protect ourselves from this suffering. We want to avoid suffering. But actually, the Bhagavad Gita says the the best solution for these kind of sufferings that come unannounced is to simply tolerate. And you might be like, "What? Tolerate?" But yeah, just tolerate. It will pass you by. Nothing stays for too long. If you can just tolerate the ego trip that comes through, these sufferings will just pass you by. But what happens, what you get is a lot of energy saved from these distractions, and you can stay focused on your goal. Like the famous quote, hardships often prepare people for extraordinary destinies. So keep that in mind. And the last part of the model, K, stands for Kripa. Kripa means grace or mercy, that which comes without any cause for it. It's not like, I give you 100 rupees, then you can give me $100, and then you can give me kripa. It doesn't work like that. Kripa and mercy is that which comes by the Lord's grace. I remember singing that hymn as a child. There shall be showers of blessings, send them upon us, thy Lord. And we would chant that, and it's true. There shall be showers of blessings, and it's nice to have those blessings. That's what kripa is. But in order to get those blessings, you want to make sure that the kind of stuff you're doing is actually blessing worthy. For example, you want to make big machines and big factories and destroy the environment in the process. I wonder, anyways, I'm an environmental buff, so I don't know what to say about that. But I wonder, if you actually question the kind of stuff. So this is what the Bhagavad Gita calls ugra karma. You destroy everything to make some money or to make some factory, but we want to do good kind of things. So coming back, this matter of kripa is very powerful. There's a story in the Bhagavad Gita that there's a little bird, and the ocean came and scooped away her eggs. So there she is, eggs gone, and she needs to find her eggs. And she's a sparrow, like a tiny sparrow, and there's a big ocean. She's like, okay, I'm gonna, try to like empty up the ocean till I find my eggs. And how long does a sparrow live, and how big is its beak? But she started like one tiny beak drop at a time. And as she's working through it, everyone's trolling her, making fun of her. Anyway, her fame spreads, and the gigantic carrier of Lord Vishnu, Garuda, famed bird, heard about his little friend, trying to make this attempt. So he comes down and to this planet and decides to help the little sparrow get her eggs back from the ocean. So here's the thing, like, we have to always, and this is the last note I'll stop at, we have to always act as if everything depends on us. We have to give it our best. But at the same time, we must always remember that everything depends on Krishna's grace. Everything depends on the Lord's mercy. So both go hand in hand, and it's an art. It takes a special kind of heart to be able to execute this art. So please remember these 5 elements of how to rekindle your determination. Anyways, I built it up from just studying the Bhagavad Gita. So perhaps if you study it, you might find your own inspiration.